You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on Channel One Television. My guest is former General Secretary of the NPP, former Flagbearer aspirant of the NPP, former Press Secretary of President Kufuor, Kwabena Agyepong engineer. You have drawn up some points, is it 5 or 3?
3 points.
3 points that you believe are the resurrecting pillars of your party now that you have been sent into, people have described it as political oblivion, a massacre, a bloodbath. Your distraction is massive. Your parliamentary defeat is huge. Your presidential defeat, unimaginable. How are you going to recover?
I think you guys love English language.
No, we love.
You can use all the words you want to use.
We learn from the former journalist, Kwabena Agyepong.
Most importantly, yes, we acknowledge that this is a very tough defeat, and we have to take it on our jaw and then work ourselves back up. You know, so what I think we should do is to respond to the concerns of our party people at the base. They are not happy with the monetization of the electoral process in the party and in Ghana in general. If you're a party faithful, you don't want to see televisions being shared at primaries and that kind of stuff. It doesn't speak well of us as a party, as a people, and as a democratic experiment. And I do believe that if we are able to enlarge the electorate, the electoral college, we may be able to at least minimize the use of money to be able to influence. And that's what I have suggested for now, something that I feel is very practical.
To expand the college.
To expand the college by bringing in all former party officers from the polling station level, electoral area level, regional, constituency, and national. So
far as you held a party position before, yes, you are eligible?
Yes. Yes, because sometimes you go to a constituency, you go and see a former chairman who had been there maybe for 3 terms, is no more the chairman, plays no role, is not part of the current executive committee, and all that experience that he has is lost to the party. And so they feel a sense of detachment, and of course they all have their own core of influence, and that increases the apathy. Even members of parliament, former ministers of state in a constituency. I mean, if you take someone like Govt, who's been a former minister of roads, local government, so because he's no more MP in Sunyani West or this,
it shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. He should, you know. So these are things that have to change. That will significantly increase the numbers to well over 2 million people.
So everybody should be involved.
Should be involved.
But if everybody should be involved, then the whole party card bearing member thing, how about that?
That will get there. You know, that is a logistical nightmare. One is capital intensive, but we'll get there. I mean,
but that's better if you want to expand it, yes, to avoid financial influence.
Eventually, I think we should get there. So everybody has a card and all card bearing members can vote. But whether we can achieve it within a matter of a year and be able to satisfy our 2-year clause in our constitution to have a presidential candidate in place, I don't think that will be a huge challenge. And that's why...
So go for the low-hanging fruits.
That's right. This one will bring... Look, all the confusion that you see in the parliamentary primaries is all because certain polling station executives feel that some influences have been used to dislodge them from it. So even if you were a polling station executive in 2014 and now you can vote, then that apprehension goes down significantly. So you can't have a situation where in one constituency about 400 polling station executives are screaming loud because their names have been removed or they have been deselected, you know, in a current electoral polling station elections. Let's bring everybody back on board if they are alive. If somebody is even the chairman of a party at the polling station in 1992 and they are still alive,
let them vote.
Let them vote. That will expand the base significantly.
So this your proposal, I believe, should cut across even to the NDC side. It's generally for our democracy, based on because of
so.
Good. But the problem is that the NDC tried it before; it didn't work. Even your party tried to expansion.
That is not exactly what they tried. I think people are confusing it, and people claim that, oh, if you do so, the NPP people can then go and pick NDC. If you go and pick an NDC card and you start paying the dues, you are an NDC member.
Even if you don't believe in that.
Simple and short. You are adding up to their numbers. And fortunately now, because of the national identification process, everybody is on a database. So I think the fears that have been bandied about. It's not as significant as people want us to believe. I think that if we are able to bring in all these people who feel alienated from the party and they become a part of the process, that allows them to choose a leader, even if his preferred choice does not end up as the victor. He knows he participated in that election.
But
that's what we need.
What do you say to the counter argument that if you expand that, you're just raising the budget for campaigning? Because if you were giving one TV set to 30 people, you are now going to do 300 people.
Well,
people will look for the money.
I did one exercise with one constituency, and they were getting figures like 4,200 in that constituency to become former electoral college that used to be about 910. You understand? That is the kind of expansion.
So 4,000 unbribable.
If you have the money, go try it. go try it. You know. So I think that one, it will get more people to participate in it. They are likely then to look out for quality leadership, not just money bags throwing money.
What do you say to the view, or again, a criticism that may come up after this, where they say, oh, don't mind Kwabena Agyepong. He didn't have money because he couldn't mobilize, or he wasn't interested in giving money, and so now he wants nobody should. I mean, kind of thing.
Umaru, there's nothing shameful about not having money. So I have no time for money and materialism. That has always been my life. And that was taught to me by my dad, and I believe in that. The kind of materialism that has gripped this country, where even when you talk to intelligent people who are in the university, whether it's the TAIN or the TESCOM, and you ask them why they are members of these organizations, all they will tell you, I want posting here, I want this, I want a scholarship. The country is not about what we will get out of our country. No, all these countries that have become great countries, Japan, which was down in ashes after the Second World War in 60 years, built ground up by people who were supposed to put in sweat equity, dedication, sacrifice. I've never been a rich man. I don't care about money. But God has blessed me with enough to take care of my wife and kids. I'm fine. For the last 8 years, I wasn't part of the government. I wasn't paying. I wasn't worried. I thought my absence was a loss to the party and to the government because I know I can contribute so much by supporting whatever I do. I believe in principles. This party, NPP, it was formed at a time of extreme difficulty in this country. And people sacrificed. People sold their buildings. Even as a young civil engineer, as part of the Young Executive Forum, every month, religiously, we take a part of our little income into a pool and send it to General Agyepong at the party headquarters. That is what I believe is missing in our politics now. So when I hear both NDC and NPP, I haven't got this, look, it's about what we can contribute to society. And I want every Ghanaian who is listening to me to understand that you can lead a fulfilled life without being rich. I'm worried about you, the media, going into people's bedrooms, showing their beds, showing their cars. And that is becoming a sign for Ghana now. I think it's atrocious.
You should come back to the media. You have been away for long. Things have changed.
Well,
Professionalism is there.
That is the only thing that animates me to remain in politics.
Okay.
And I prayed to God, I said to God Almighty, the little strength and the time that I have left to do anything to transform this country, even if I become the last man, I will say it till I have no breath. Then my conscience will be clean. So this materialism, people think that you should have money, and money is good. Wealth creation is good. We are the party, or supposed to be the party of business. We want to create wealth. We want to expand the country so that wherever you find yourself, whether you are in Hamile or Hafasini or Pusiga or Keta, once we've been able to build a good economy, all of us don't have to be in Accra or Kumasi.
Yeah. So point one, expand the electoral college.
Point two is that I think that after we've been able to achieve the expansion, then we should hold the presidential primary first.
First in terms of what? Before the executive?
Before any other elections. One, because at the end of the day, right now, the so-called money bags want to influence everything. So whether it's a polling station election, it's a constituency election, electoral area election, a regional election, you end up having oh, this chairman, he supports candidate A. This chairman supports candidate B. And I think that we can remove that. We can remove that by having the presidential
election first. Presidential election first. What does your constitution say?
The constitution, in fact, this conforms to the constitution. The constitution leaves the date and the timing of it to the National Council and gives it a certain limitation that when you're in opposition, it should happen not later than
2 years.
2 years. So you can come. You can even do it
so
now.
You can do it 3 years before or even 4 years.
You can do it now.
But how soon do you think that should be done?
I think we should start first with the expansion.
Okay.
You know, that will energize the base. The people will know that this is a new NPP.
Tell them that they are all involved.
That's right. Everybody is involved. And then we start educating them and speaking to them on the values and the virtues and the principles that really anchored the formation of this political tradition. That is about what I call the triple S. It's about service to society. It's about sacrifice. It's about being selfless. That is what politics is about. People think it's the quickest route to wealth and riches and fame. And I believe that maybe one or two bad examples on both sides of the political divide. So every young man wants to aspire to be those people. I've always encouraged young people, build a career for yourself. I was a civil engineer, worked at Ghana Highway Authority for a significant period before setting up my own private consultancy, built my own house from my sweat as an engineering consultant. That is where I still live. It is no embarrassment to say that in all my 40 years I've built only 2 houses and I have a few plots of land. That is fine. You don't need to rack up your real estate because you are press secretary to the president. I was press secretary to President Kufuor for almost 6 years. I didn't add up to my real estate.
So,
so I think the mindset change is important.
So if you
we have to recalibrate our thoughts. How we view public service should mean exactly that, service to the public, not to ourselves.
If you had your way, you could have a flag bearer by, say, January next year. You don't mind?
I think we should do it by December this year.
By December this year. Then you have the top, a flag bearer, but there will be no base because
there are time. Who says there will be no base? We've expanded the base first. That's why I said we need to build what I'm calling constituency caucuses.
But if the point is that if you have the flag bearer,
yes,
then every candidate
we have executives in place. Their mandate hasn't expired.
But they are going into an election.
It does not.
They would have to then start aligning with that person.
They don't. What is important is that once we elect a flag bearer, all patriotic members of in fact, all members
we evolve around.
You have to. That's why I was a contestant to Baumia. We were 10 of us.
Yeah.
Immediately I lost and he won. I said, look, I'm going to do my best to support you. That is what a responsible party person should do if you are a Democrat and you believe in it, But I'm a stickler for discipline. So, of course, we finished with one electoral cycle. And so that cycle is over. We are now preparing a new cycle, And that's why I think all of us have to be honest with ourselves and do the right thing.
Based on your constitution, flag bearers after elections become functus officials? Is that what official?
Sort of, yes. Of
so
course.
the leadership now reverts to the national executive.
It becomes the most important,
So there's a vacuum for flag bearership, but you have national leadership. That is what the situation now.
Yes.
So in your view, national leaders are not going to be on the ballot. So get someone to quickly come and replace the old person who you had there. That's your plan.
The whole point.
And it should be done as quickly
as possible.
Third point.
Yes.
What's your third point?
Of
reviving the party.
Of course, it's also part of it because we had these super delegates where only 900 people who cut down the numbers to 5 because of what happened
the elites.
with the 17, which I was the youngest at the time in 2007. I think it happened once. I don't think we'll have 17, maybe 10. Even the national election had 13.
Yeah.
It didn't ask for a super delegates to prune it down. So I think that we should remove that.
There should be no super delegate.
You should remove that provision because it's liable to manipulation. I mean, if you have only, in fact, now it's going to be less because we don't have 137 MPs. We have only 88 or perhaps 89. 800 people. The money bags can
buy them.
Go in there for 400 and.
The democracy we are learning from one of them, the American democracy, has a huge parliament
Yes.
of somewhat almost 500 people, and yet they have 200 senators who make a determination on what the larger population has said, a delegate or a college system.
Yeah.
If it is working for them, it has worked for them for 200 years. I'm sure that's why your party introduced that as a stopgap measure to perhaps, checkmate whatever would have been done by
them. Twice, it hasn't worked.
Who says it hasn't
when
worked?
we had 7.
Who says it hasn't worked?
Oh, well, a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people. It's something that that proposal, when I made it in council, received, in fact, all 3 received unanimous, acclaim. The only thing was that some people wanted us to immediately use the same electoral college to do the election. I said, no. We need to show the Ghanaian people and our party base that we are listening to what they are telling us, that they want to be more included in the decisions we make. And so we should expand it. And so I think that the first and primary thing is to expand the electoral college, bring all of these stakeholders on board. It will let them have a sense of belonging, and the apathy will subside. So that for me is a no-brainer. We should do that. And when we do that first, we should do the presidential primary first. Because at the end of the day, if you want to go and have a constituency election, those who want to become presidential candidates, whatever you do, they'll try and get involved. You have an executive that has a chairman who belongs to candidate A, a secretary to candidate B, and that is when the polarization and the divisions occur. So I think the one who should be on the ballot, which is the presidential candidate, is the most important person. He's the one we're going to sell to the Ghanaian people, and he's the one who should be responding to John Mahama, or the president of the country. Right now, who responds to all the infractions that we are seeing. You understand? There's nobody to respond to that.
You have a leader. You have a leader in parliament. You have a leader at Asylum.
Yes, the parliamentary party plays a big role. We appreciate that and the work that they do. But I think it's important that we have in place a presidential candidate. And then in 2026, when we have a next round of elections for the national offices, then they all know that they come into office knowing the party has already elected a leader, and all of us are going to work for
that one person.
For that one person.
If it comes to it, is Kwabena Agyepong going to be one of the aspirants for this presidential candidate in the December?
Umaro, I know you love that. I did it in 2007. I did it again last, was it 2 years, 2020?
I think you did 2015 or you didn't do 2015?
No, I didn't do that. So I don't want this to be news on your program.
Yeah, no, I mean,
right now, what is important?
I just want to know whether you still have the ambition.
Faithful, as a party faithful, is to look to the reforms and listen to what the party people have said, which has been captured, in my view, in Professor Okoye's report. I think it's unfair that 1 or 2 people should be making comments off that report that the larger senior people have not seen. I think that is not very good. I think they should call a team into conclave, spend a day or 2, distill from it the key points and the things that we should do, not all the reasons about Umaru was 20% contributor to our loss. Whether I shouldn't focus on that. We shouldn't focus on that, because as for the loss, you've suffered it already, and we have 4 years ahead of us. Nothing is going to change that.
In 2015, when Akufo-Addo came to announce that he was going to run for Flagbearer, he said he had enough fire in his belly to go another round. Do you have enough fire in your belly to go another round?
Don't I look like somebody who is vibrant, who's got energy?
Maybe you have given up. Maybe you've tried twice.
I will never give up on this country, Ghana. In fact, that's the only thing that animates my inclusion in politics. After all, I've been press secretary to the president. And when you've been press secretary to the president, you've been everywhere. You've been everywhere. I've seen everything. So if around the country. By courtesy, my thanks to President Kufuor for trusting me with that position. I've been general secretary, albeit for a pretty short period, but I did my bit to make sure we won 169 seats because of the way we conducted the primary.
Have you said anything publicly about what happened to you leaving as general secretary, returning as an ordinary person?
I've said it publicly that it was unjustified, it was illegal. They know it. The Constitution prescribes a way to remove a chairman or general secretary. That was not followed. But like I said, it's in the past.
You don't want to go back on it.
I don't want to go back to it.
I'll bring you back to it because there's a process to remove the Chief Justice now.
Which I think is very unfortunate.
I'll come back to you, so you tell me about that. This is Face to Face on ChannelOne television. My guest is Kwabena Agyepong, who will not tell me directly if he would want to run again for Flagbearership. But of course, he said he's not giving up on Ghana, which includes a number of things, including the fact that he may not give up on running for Flagbearership. But when we come back, there's a new government in town, John Mahama's government. What is his assessment of the first 4 months? Is it starting well? Does it look good? Generally for our country. Please stay. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on ChannelOne TV. Honorable Kwabena Agyepong, Mahama is in office now, 4 months. As someone who has been in government before, what are some of the pitfalls that you have noticed? What advice can you give him so that he can fix this country for us? He is a president now. Ghanaians choose him.
Good. I mean, I think first and foremost, I want to put this on record. And I think maybe Ghana, we can benefit from this convention on not being overly critical in the first few months. I think we need to allow governments to settle, to have full complement of their appointments and all that. And maybe after a year, you can take a look at some of the things he's doing or he has done. But having said that, I think he started a bit on the wrong foot with a few things that he has done.
So he's not starting well. My mother says a good day is usually seen in the morning. So his morning is not looking good?
Especially as a party that took over from a competitive election. The handover was smooth. All these invasions into people's houses, I think it was unnecessary. If you have strong investigative arms, whatever information that you need as president or as a government, you have a full complement of the information architecture to put it together and prosecute people even if they are absent from the jurisdiction. You can do that. You don't need to force them in front of you to be able to extract things from you, because the law allows them even not to cooperate with you, because nobody would like to give you information that will incriminate him in a future trial. So those were some of the things I thought was completely unnecessary, and it gave the government a bad name for no reasons. And then some of the populist things I've seen people, I mean, for the first time, when I was appointed press secretary, I know in those days, I think the social media was not up, but I would never have done that. I've seen people go into office and take selfies of themselves. They are in a celebratory mood.
Of course, they have to celebrate.
It is wrong.
They won by 2 million.
I think Ghanaians are too celebratory. In fact, I have had calls and reasons, even in the past when we were in government. I didn't understand why ministers get appointed and you are going to a vetting, a whole retinue of chiefs behind you.
You don't think that's
completely unnecessary.
It shows that your community supports you.
No. You see, these are the things that don't help us build strong politicians who can take the right decisions.
Because they are indebted to those people.
That's right. You create a certain environment that allows corruption to thrive. You know, I think...
So go alone, sit there, be grilled, go home.
Why not? You should be simple. Maybe your wife and a kid and your PA, and that's it. Be grilled, and that's it, you go. No hula baloo. Look at the amount of people and the confusion some of them even created.
And helping in the fight when they are fighting.
And when they are fighting, you understand? And so I've seen an officer go to work with about, 1,000 people on motorbikes. That place is a state organization.
Maybe they were riding in support.
It is wrong.
It's not, they were not.
See, these are things, as a country, let's be serious about our politics. It is wrong. The job ahead of us is a difficult one.
Because you mentioned the vetting, how good was the vetting? This is the vetting that could have been...
And that's something I complained to our minority, even in NEC. I said to them, even the standing committees were not in place. How could they start the vetting without the standing committees in Parliament? Why did they accept that?
There was the committee on selection, there was a committee on appointments.
No, but they should have the full complement, so that when you are grilling the roads minister,
there's a roads committee member
there, and they know that, but they somehow...
So they went ahead of themselves.
I thought that was wrong.
But what about the quality of we saw your people walk out at a number of,
as for vetting in this country, I have my own very radical views.
We should not do it.
Not that we should not do it. I think we play to the gallery. It's a joke. If you want to vet people, vet them properly. Let's be serious in this country. We have in this country where people's degrees are fake and other things. It's all over the place. Everybody calls themselves a doctor these days. And the National Accreditation, what do they call them now? Is it GTEC?
Yeah, something NACA, I think.
Oh, Ghana, what is in the name? We keep changing names. Yeah. Even BNI is now NIB.
Because when you changed the currency in 2007, you added Ghana to it. So you also helped us Ghana city so that we don't have to. But anyway, this on the lighter side.
I just want
What about the fact that he promised to give us 60 ministers? He has stuck to that. It's worth celebrating.
Well, not worth celebrating.
Acknowledging.
It's worth acknowledging. When I was campaigning, I said I would do 54. I was the first person to talk about the fact that we can run this country with 54 ministers.
So, but he has done it.
He has done it. That's fine. But
so
if you look at the retinue of advisors and all that he has on every portfolio at the presidency, it defeats what he has done. You understand? So, and then if you look at even the budget and the money is being assigned, you really have not achieved much. But anyway, I think it's too early.
He has removed, the taxes that Ghanaians were complaining about down to is worth celebrating.
Celebrating?
Yes.
I don't think so. I mean, look.
He promised and he has delivered.
Most importantly, he's got a big task on his head. And I wish him well. He's a personal friend. I know him. So I wish him well. Let's stop playing to the gallery. And I think he himself has to be serious about what he's doing, in how he's communicating, and we should reduce just doing things to the political gallery. The expediency of politics. Once you are in charge of the country, you are the country not only of NDC people, of all Ghanaians. And every decision you take impacts on the life of Ghanaians. And I am a stickler for working for this country, Ghana. That's what I believe in. And I look to the transformation of this country.
What do you make of the procedure to remove the Chief Justice, how far it has gotten?
I think even the very idea to remove the Chief Justice, it's not something that you should do.
Why?
This is one, unless there's something so seriously wrong. And so far, I haven't seen
But
much.
the Constitution says if there's a petition...
But if there's a petition, that's why the president is like the gatekeeper.
No, but the president is just a conveyor belt.
No, it's not a conveyor belt.
It comes to him.
If you look at it and you think on the face of it, what the lawyers call prima facie, on the face of it, it does not warrant pushing it. Otherwise,
that's not for him to do. It's for the Council of State to do.
He can look at it and say it doesn't even need to go to the Council of State. That's why you're the president. I think they have put themselves in a situation because they started mentioning this even during the campaign. Have you seen that video of him when he was addressing the NDC lawyers?
Yeah.
So it presupposes that it's all predetermined and prejudged.
Based on what you people did when you're in government, that you packed the bench.
I was not a part of the government to start with.
Just for
so
2 years.
Please, I was not a part of the government. I was never a part of the government.
When your party was in government.
Say so.
Do you regret not being part of the government though?
Of course, I would have loved to serve my country. And I think it's a loss.
Did you ever have a conversation to Akufo-Addo about, oh, hey, I want to take up a ministry for roads and highways for you?
Well, you want to be privy to conversations I have with presidents? I was press secretary to the president. I mean, there are secrets that I would die with.
During your time, cabinet memos were leaking. So I mean,
our time?
When you were Kufuor's press secretary.
Which cabinet memos were leaking?
Should I call Kweku back so we have a conversation?
Just once from Kwesi Pratt. Just one.
So it's free. You can do another
those things. Let me tell you what is important about governance. I think in Ghana, we tend to play to the gallery far too often. You know, we joke with governance, and people sit on radio, and it's all become a joke now. You look at TikTok and everything. No, governance is very serious, and I want politicians to have a very serious outlook to how they run this country.
But the NDC people say they are resetting everything, including the judiciary. You don't think that should be done?
Not at all. Not at all.
So
it is in what you do and how you prioritize and the outcomes that you generate that matters to the people.
So if President Mahama were watching you now, you would say to him, terminate this entire process, move on?
With the Chief Justice?
Chief Justice.
If you listen to his friend, yes. I think it's unnecessary opprobrium that is brought upon himself. It's not necessary. You know, I mean, unless he's done something really drastic, and I don't see those things. As for the pecs of political authority, I mean, If you go to some of the state enterprises, you'll be shocked that a CEO gets 2-3 cars, their wives get cars. There are things that they give to.
But these are wrong.
It's wrong. So we should start dealing with those things systematically.
Which is what they are
doing. This is not what he's doing. This is
they say
trying to look for an excuse
and remove her.
That's right.
Maybe they say they've learned from your party, or you say we shouldn't learn from the bad things from the past.
What are you referring to? I mean, the removal of the
EC chair.
The EC chair.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't like it.
You didn't agree?
I didn't like it. There was no need. I mean, this was the same EC chair who declared Nana Addo as president.
Of course.
And I think that if you are EC chair, you should only be removed on electoral issues. I mean, this was procurement and other things.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you see, as a country, let's be honest, firm, and fair to issues. And that will help us as a people.
We need to go, sir, but what is your relationship with Dr. Bawumia like now, after the election?
Oh, still the same.
We have a very good relationship.
We are good friends.
You could talk?
Yes, I mean, he texted me 2 days ago, but because I was burying my mom and all that.
Kafra.
And he came to the funeral to commiserate with me.
Is he aware that you are going to run against him again?
We haven't had a political discussion.
Engineer Kwabena Agyepong, thank you so much for joining us on Face to Face. It's been great talking to you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. So that's engineer, journalist, politician Kwabena Agyepong speaking to us on Face to Face. Kwabena Agyepong. My name is Umar Sandabado. This has been Face to Face on ChannelOne TV. Thank you.